that new mic gets picked up. There it is. There it is. Love it. Love it. Okay. Audio's good. We're looking great. Yep. Can you guys hear me now? You guys should be able to hear me. You guys should be able to hear me now. Everyone should be able to hear me now. Let's take this off. Boom. Great. Sweet. Awesome. Awesome. Like I said, we'll get started in a few seconds here. Let me make sure that our Discord is all ready to rock and roll. Share your screen. Absolutely. Boom. Let's do it. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. We'll wait a few more seconds. Get Schwami in here. What's going on, Schwami? I might ask you too, because we're on Twitter as well. So if you could go to Twitter and add yourself to as a speaker for on there too. There's no video on there. I couldn't get it to connect to both. So it'll just be audio, but that's okay. If you can. If you can't, that's totally fine. Welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for being here. There you go. Let me see if I can add you as a co-host. Yep, I got you. So you should be able to. Oh, sure. You know what? And life goes on. If that doesn't happen, we're totally good, right? Like my priority is right here in Discord and then on YouTube as well. So that's yeah, that's totally good. Yeah, everyone on Twitter will be able to hear me though. Um, okay, well it's four, and I'll give everyone maybe a few more seconds to get in here before I kind of switch over. But today we're going to be going over a couple different things, right? But primarily, I'm assuming most of you are here for this announcement, right? This new thing, the biggest thing in Sharp, right? That we've been touting for the last, got a few weeks really, and I'm so pumped to be able to show you guys and to be able to give you guys access into what there's been a lot of work in the background of making happen. And so we're going to go over a little bit of whatever that new thing is, and then we're also going to talk about the Sharp app AI and the Sharp app money handles tool, and kind of how to use those in conjunction with this upcoming weekend's slate. So to start, right? Obviously, as you all know, we've been kind of touting and starting to get a move on what we've been calling Sharp 2.0, right? This new generation, this new era of Sharp specifically on mobile, and obviously we have a ton coming, but I'm so excited to get to tell you guys that our beta is officially open right now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys a little bit, and you guys can follow along. I'll put the link inside this chat so that if you guys want to log in, if you're a Sharp Pro Plus subscriber, you'll be able to hop in and start to play around with all of the new tools that we are offering with Sharp 2.0. I'm so pumped about it, and I really cannot wait to show you. So let me switch on over to there. This is the new Sharp, right? And so um, let me take this, and I'll throw it into our Discord here. It looked freaking awesome. So if you guys click on that link that I put inside the chat, you guys are going to be able to kind of follow along with me. This is not going to be a full breakdown of every single thing on this website. We're actually going to save that for next week. So next week we're going to really dive into every single tool that's on this beta. And I'll remind you all that this is a beta, right? This is not the full-fledged rollout that is absolutely perfect. It says it right at the top. This is a beta. There are things that are going to be missing, or there's going to be things that are wrong. And so what you're going to be able to do is, he's actually in here. If you see Wire Days, right? Wire Days is the mastermind here, right? You can let him know in the channel that says in discussion in our Discord, there's something that says web beta feedback. Okay. That is where you're going to kind of put in, hey, this is awesome, or hey, this is like not working, right? And there's a couple different things that we know are not working yet. So I encourage you to just run wild on this beta, right? Use every single tool. And so let's kind of go through some of the landscape here, right? My favorite thing, and I'll zoom in a little bit, is if you go up to sports books, there's your recommended ones, right? There's your FanDuel, DraftKings, ESPN Bet, BetMGM, your Caesars, like the really larger commercial ones. If you go to fantasy, that's where you're going to be able to actually customize every single screen that you see from here on out on this website, right? So you're going to be able to say, every time I go to an odds screen, I want DraftKings pick six. Every time I go to an odds screen or a proptimizer, I want sleeper, I want underdog, right? And then if you click on all, there are pretty much every sportsbook that you could imagine in here, right? And you can literally customize this exactly how you want, right? You can make this experience into exactly what you want it to be, and to get use out of the Sharp app, right? And of Sharp Online, right? And so, Novig is a massive sports book that I'm so excited that we have. There's a million of them. So no matter what state you live in, hopefully we have the book that you need. And if not, let us know, right? And we can be able to kind of play around and see what we can do, right? I'm going to show you my favorite parts of it, right? And then obviously, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let us know, right? And like, I would be happy to answer. If I don't know the answer, I can get that answer for you as well, right? So I'm going to go through some of my favorite parts, right? And some of the things that I think are going to be of the best use to me, and the best use to our audience that are kind of diving into this new era, new generation, right? First off, the layout looks sick. The layout and the UI and the userness or the usefulness of this website is super easy to use, right? So let's go into, this is my favorite screen in the entire thing, and it's the odds and markets screen. I have this already customized by the different books that I use, and so that I'm able to kind of see, right? And so this is customized to me, but you can customize this to however you want, right? Can I tell you my favorite part? I know this is so geeky, but it's just what I coordinate this, or I want to coordinate this with how I look at lines. So let's say I want to move Circa to the very front, right? Circa to me is the like end all be all, right? Like this is where, and if you just saw, I know I'm like freaking out about this, but If you just saw lines literally just updated on DraftKings, right? We are talking in seconds, right? And when those lines move, you will see it move on here. Then I can move over DK. Let's say I want to use FanDuel a little closer, right? Oh, I just moved everything over. Um, but you are able to move around and customize where your odds show up, right? And so obviously it starts in the NFL screen, right? But if you go to filter, you can filter it based on whatever you want, right? So let's say we go to college football, right? I'm gonna click apply, and once it loads, you're gonna be able to see every single game. I don't know if you noticed in the NFL as well. It already had books that had odds for next week's Thursday night football game, which is really really cool as well, right? So all of a sudden we're looking at odds for tonight's game. You see 10-18 all the way down through this weekend. And it's fully customizable. You can make it into literally whatever you want it to be, right? And so that to me is one of the coolest parts of this. And I'll go more in depth next week with a lot of these tools once I feel fully accustomed to them too, right? To be able to kind of teach you guys the best ways that I've been using it. But then we're going to go over to the Proptimizers. As you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 separate Proptimizers to choose from. It used to be 3, now it is 9, right? And you are seeing the top props, prize picks, and sleeper, which were the 3 Proptimizers that we had before. Now all of a sudden we're adding underdog, we're adding pick six, fliff, hot streak, parlay play, and no vid, right? So those are all working. Prize picks might have a little tweak in it. So if you're looking to use prize picks for tonight, you might want to use either the old version or go on the mobile version, just to ensure that you're getting the lines that you want to or need to. And so though that's just what I would look at. And so I don't know, what do you guys use? And we can kind of go over it. Underdog to me is Schwami. I know that's a favorite of yours. Um, so let's kind of check it out. Do you know is underdog offered in most states? Do you know what their kind of stipulations are? That's okay if you don't. Mm, yeah. Oh, got it. Okay, cool. What about the Proptimizer to DraftKings? Yeah, so we have the DraftKings Pick Six as well. And so which is awesome. I don't actually have any experience or in Pit Six. Swami, do you use Pit Six at all? Okay. Oh, I remember that. Yep. Yeah. Mm, mm. And while Swami was talking, I mean, this was literally updating. Like I saw different lines moving. Like it is quicker than it has ever been, right? And so no matter which one you use, and this is not all. right? And so remember, this is just a beta, right? And so these are the ones that we're testing the infrastructure, right? To see like where the need is and where the want is, and to provide the best product for you guys, right? And so I do this every week. Schwami, we're going to do the shameless plug. We're going to do it because this is the cheapest that this price will ever be. And I know that there are some of you like in chat that do not have Sharp Pro. This is the cheapest it's ever going to be. DM Schwami, DM myself, and let's get the codes to you so that you can get in before we kind of fully release and get everything out to the public and raise the price, right? And so we have 20% off code, so make sure that you are if you're interested, it's $80. Give it a try for a month, right? Give it a go, see how useful it can be for you, right? Whether you are a props player, whether you're a straight bets player, right? You are going to be able to use these top down and bottom up strategies no matter what kind of better you are. You're going to be able to use the Sharp app to your advantage, right? And obviously, 2 weeks ago, we talked about how we can use the Proptimizer. I will dive, or we will dive more into the Proptimizers next week, more in depth, especially with the new Proptimizers that we have to offer. So please DM Schwami, DM myself, come in come in the general and ask like we are here for you to give you a try on this awesome product, right? Oh yeah, yeah. Nope. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. And so I'll go over just a couple more things that I would love to show everyone. If you are a fan of the Sharp Report, right, and you use every time that my screen updates, I get like a hit of dopamine. It's incredible every time. If you're a Sharp Report user and you're like, okay, I'm not always present in the Discord, I want it on my desktop. If you click on Sharp Report, you can see the menu, right? And then boom, it automatically pops up. If you are not a pro subscriber, here you go. Here's the Sharp Report, right? Right underneath that is the tracker. And so the Sharp Report tracker that we went through last week is right here. It's right at your fingertips, right? That you can kind of go through each year and how the Sharp Report has been doing per month. And then down here, right, you can actually, at the very bottom of the screen, you can kind of track how the Sharp Report has been doing. Finally, we have our calculators, right? We have arbitrage. It's the word. I hope I said it right. I never say it right. I'm pretty sure I got it right. Your EV plus calculator, your hold calculator, your odds calculator, and your parlay calculator, right? And so we're going to go into that next week. When I have even a little more time to play around with it and like make sure that I have everything that I need for you guys. But I would highly recommend get in there. I'll show you this. What's really cool is underneath every single calculator, there's an about section, right? Where it literally teaches you the strategy behind how to use the calculator that's there, right? And so if you're a bettor that's really pertinent on calculating the expected value of a bet, right? You want to make EV plus bets. That's where we're all heading, right? Is to make EV plus bets. It explains exactly how the calculator works and why it's important for us to have these EV plus bets, right? The login is the same. Yep. A tease calculator, yeah. Wire days, maybe that's something that we could definitely think about adding for sure. That's a great, like, that's a really, really nice suggestion too. Um, but one of my favorite parts is the knowledge aspect, right? Like, we are not here just to give you picks. It's not sustainable, right? That is not something that we have. Love that. Um, yeah, a tease calculator is coming. Great. Something that the Sharp app has never been is this, like, make this pick, make this pick, make this pick, right? What it has always been is about knowledge, right? And how can we teach you to be the absolute best, better possible, right? And that's what this new Sharp 2.0 era is rooted in, right? It's rooted in knowledge. It's rooted in how can we make you use our tools, or help you use our tools, in order to make the absolute best bet possible, right? To be able to do it on your own, to be able to give you the toolbox instead of just relying on a person, right? To always, like, answer your questions, right? And so let's make sure that I got this. Great. Um, Oh, and I'll know, or I'll say this too. Wire Days just messaged me when we're talking about, there will be a new landing page for for the Sharp report, so it won't just look like a spreadsheet, right? It'll actually look different. So, um, and like I've said, if you're new here, we have a channel called the Web Beta Feedback Channel. If you are playing with the new beta and you're like, hey, I noticed that this was off, you can go ahead and throw that in there. Um, and there you go. And Wire Days just went over this, so I'll kind of read this out loud for those of you that are on YouTube. The odds screen features that are coming out in the next 30 days are the best odds, the average odds, line movement, handles, AI predictions, and custom consensuses, right? So you're going to be able to actually, between all the books that you have, what's the consensus, right? And so everything that's in on the app, you're going to be able to then also have online, which is really, really cool. I know some of you prefer to have it on desktop rather than through the app. And so everything that we go over today is also going to be on the app. And so that's really, really cool. And I see that some of you are already throwing things in the web beta feedback channel. I really appreciate that. I know Wire Days appreciates it. Schwami appreciates it. Like, we want to create the absolute best product for you, right? That is going to help you and is going to get you to where your needs are, right? And so I challenge you to go through everything on this screen, right? Try customizing everything. Use it in the way that you would most want to use this application, right? This new competitor, right? How can we make it the best for you? Okay. Before we move on, does anyone have any questions about? Oh, okay, great. Wire Days, maybe we can change that. The web feedback channel doesn't allow pictures right now, so um, that would probably be helpful as well. But before we move on, I know this is just a taste. We're giving you a taste, right? Before we move on, what questions do you all have, kind of about the rollout? And like I said, next week we're gonna do a deep dive into Sharp 2.0. Right, we're gonna do a deep dive into the different Proptimizers and all of that. So I'll kind of give it a few seconds. What questions do you guys have before we move on to our Sharp AI and our Sharp Money Handles tool? Can this be used on a mobile device? It is. Wire Days. Excuse me if I'm wrong. I believe it's not mobile compatible yet. Right? Yep. Okay. Yep. Desktop and tablet. Scott, we know that you need the help. Um, will I go over the accuracy of Sharp App projections on the Proptimizers? Yeah, we'll go. So we went over that 2 weeks ago, but we'll go over it next week as well when we talk about the Proptimizers. Remember that everything's a tool, right? As far as accuracy goes, to me, it's always important to understand that everything's not going to be perfect, but it's based on our model projections, right? Up to the yardage, up to the reception, right? In my experience, we have the most accurate Sharp or projections that I have seen across the board, whether that is for Sharp AI, which we'll talk about in a second, or our projections on the Proptimizers. But like I said, I will do a deep dive into that next week as well. When is 2.0 scheduled to go live? So this is the beta. Wire Days, I don't think that we have an exact scheduled date yet, if I'm correct, but it's really based on feedback, right? And it's based on what you all need in order to make this into the app that we want it to be. I believe our target date was sometime in November, but Wire, I don't want to speak for our developers here. But these are great questions. Keep hammering them. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So like Wired said, right now, two major issues with the beta are prize picks, right? And the market logs missing data. Those will be coming for sure, and those will be resolved hopefully in the next coming days. But those are kind of the two big things, and this is why it's a beta, right? This is why we're working on it, and so it's just it's important to try it out and get good use out of it. Any other questions before we move on? These are awesome. These are awesome, awesome, awesome questions, y'all. I appreciate you guys being here. The sharpest prop betting sports book. I actually don't know the answer to that. Schwami, do you know the answer to that? Oh, okay. Interesting. I really didn't know that. I'm not too much of a prop guy, so that's why I don't really know that. But that's interesting. So in case you're not inside our Discord, it's FanDuel for the MLB or Prime for the MLB, and then Circa for the NFL. Okay, I'm gonna switch screens really really quickly. So I'm gonna back out of this one, and then let me hop over to kind of the next screen here. Transition it. Boom. Okay. And then let me present again to here. All right. Look at that. You're going to see my baby for a second. There's my baby. Look at my baby. Oh my God. He's adorable. What an adorable baby. All right. So now what we're going to be going through. I know. It's a cute baby. I know. What we're going to be going through for the rest of the day today, okay, this kind of last half hour or so, is the Sharp App AI and Sharp App Money Handles tool. Now, I'm working you'll see what we're working with here, right? I'm working on my phone right now. So, what you're going to go through today is how I use Sharp AI and how I use the Sharp App Money Handles tool to inform the bets that I make. Sharp AI, right? Remember, is a tool. The Money Handles tool is a tool, right? None of these are like end all be all type things, right? But they are informants of kind of me and my betting strategies. Last year in the NBA, it is my favorite season by far to bet on. It just is. I made over 60 units doing literally one thing, and I'm going to teach you exactly what that is today. But before we get into it, Schwami, do you use the Sharp AI or Sharp Money Handles tool for anything specifically? Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I was literally going to bring that up as well. If you went on like X or Twitter or um, pretty much everyone and their mother was on the under last night. But there's one thing that was on the over, and that was Sharp AI, right? And so, like I always say, it's not perfect, right? And it's not the end all be all, right? But it is something that I'd go to after I have a play in mind. So let's talk about it. Let's do let's do this ugly game. Okay, so we've got New England and Jacksonville. Um, as you can, I can kind of move my there you go. I can kind of move my screen around a little bit here. So when you're looking at the Sharp app, right, on a very basic level, what you're seeing is the spread across different books, right? The line across different books and the total across different books, right? So I can go in here and I can change whatever I want. Let's say I want to use Caesars, right? You change it. These are the current lines at Caesars right now, right? That is kind of the base of what you get if you just have the Sharp app free, right? The Sharp app Lite, right? And so when you commit to Pro, then you're going to get kind of the tools that you'll see here. So the AI predictions, okay? This is based on Sharp app projections combined with line and market values, right? And so when we are using this tool, right, it is to me and in my experience very accurate when it comes to predicted spreads. Okay, the totals are a little bit harder to predict and project, especially in college football. College football total betting is a very volatile market, right? And it is very hard to predict or project totals. But if we're looking in the NFL here, question: can you get Sharp AI from the desktop? Not yet. That's what's coming in the next 30 days. Okay, so all of the tools that you see here today will be on desktop within the next 30 days. That's kind of the rollout, like the beta rollout that we're talking about. Scott, it's extremely volatile, right? It is incredibly difficult to project totals in college football for sure. In the NFL, maybe not so much, right? It's a little bit more keen or sharp as far as our AI. So in this game, right, it says that the predicted spread should be Jacksonville favored by 6, right? Yeah, all pro sports are better than college as far as total betting goes. I would even argue that spreads as well, but totals for sure are something. So if we look here, right, at our AI predictions, it gives the Jaguars a 71 predictive win percentage, and that's based on the spread, right? And so it projects that the spread should be -6 in favor of Jacksonville, right? We go up. It's stuck on Caesars right now, but that's okay. And we're seeing, right, that's where the line is. So to me, this screams to me there's no value on Jacksonville, right? if we're just using Sharp AI, which was updated 48 minutes ago, right? If we're just using this, there's not really much value when it comes to this game specifically, right? But a tool that we can use, right? Oh, sorry. A tool that we can use is, if we scroll down, it's one of my favorite tools. It's the line movement tool, right? And so it shows us that from the minute the line dropped, say it wasn't at 6, what do you like the predictive win percentage to be? Um, that's a great question. Um, you know, I guess I don't have a specific number in mind. Really, what I look for is, and this is over 60%. That's what I would really that would keen me on to a play, right? Now, for example, if a dog is, you love looking at line movement stud, me too. If a dog has a predictive win percentage up. Maybe today, as we kind of go through this, maybe we'll find one to give a better example. But if a dog has a higher predictive winning percentage, I mean, to me, that's the one of the best indicators to value, right? Is that, hey, the wrong team is favored in this game, right? The most I've ever seen, and I forget what game it was. It was NFL last year, and we hit on it. It was I gotta remember, but there was a team that was favored by 5.5. That's what the line was. But our Sharp AI showed that the team that was plus 5.5, that had a higher predictive win percentage, and so that kind of keened me on to that play. And so we'll go down to line movement now to just kind of go through this. So when we look at line movement, right, we can see it opened at Jacksonville minus 225. One of my favorite parts of our app, though, is that you can kind of segregate it, right, and you can show, like, in the past 2 hours, this is where the money line is moved. Now, obviously, in a game that is, minus 267 plus 215, you're probably not looking at the money line, right? So you go up here, you click money line, or you click money line, and then you go to spread, and we can look at over the past 24 hours where this spread has gone, right? And we see Jacksonville has moved from 5.5 to 6, right? And you can see, like, kind of that movement. You can even look at the total, right, and kind of see where the total has moved over the course of when it dropped, right? And so we're seeing it's kind of fluctuating between that 42 and 41. Now, if you see our predictive total from Sharp AI is at 44, right? And so what does that mean? Maybe take the over, right? Now, the way that I use it, and I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys, I have no reason to, or not to, is I don't use AI as a, like, I'm going to go to all the Sharp AIs and figure out what the best plays are. I use this as a secondary step, right? A step that I'm already on a play because of the Sharp report, or I'm already on a play because of line movement. Let me go check Sharp AI and see where it is. Now, that being said, I check Sharp AI for every single play that I do, right? Now, there's some sports that's kind of difficult. Who has the time to go through the Sharp AI of every single college football game on tomorrow's slate, right? Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'm not saying take the over, right? Oh, Scott, you do that. That's incredible. There is Wembley Stadium is whack-a-doodle-doo, and it's a half-open stadium. So this is obviously like a weird way to kind of go about it, but and a new playing surface as well. So maybe be hesitant on this over. But just as an example, right? My favorite thing, though, my favorite tool, and I use it every single time I do a play, is the Sharp Money Handles tool. Okay? This is everyone asks, the biggest question is, where does this come from? It comes from most public betting books, right? The Sharp report comes from a very specific offshore book. That's where that information is coming from. That's where those percentages are coming in from. That's where the Sharp bets are coming from. When we're looking here, this is a accumulation, right, of a number of different books together to give us the best estimate as to where everything is. So as you can see here, I'll break this down very simply. Bet percentage. That is the amount of bets collectively at these sports books. Okay, so we're looking at the spread here, right? Bet percentage. 76% of people who have made a play on this spread are on New England. Okay? 24% of bets that have made a bet on this spread are on Jacksonville. Okay? We'd go over to money percentage. Money percentage. This is the amount of money that is placed on a play. Okay? This is ignoring total number of bets. This is pure dollar signs, right? We're seeing the amount of money that's on New England right now is 70% of all total money on this game is on New England. 30% is on Jacksonville, okay? That gives you a difference of 6%, okay? Now, to me, that's not massive, and I'll show you how I use this. I'm going to try and find one that kind of matches it, right? What we're looking for here is difference. What this indicates is that New England might be a square play, right? And like I said, this is different from the Sharp report, right? These numbers are different than the Sharp report, and it's something I use in conjunction with the Sharp report. But New England might be a very square public play, right? And I agree with that. Jacksonville's favored by 6. Who the hell thinks that this Jacksonville Jaguars team should be favored by 6 against any team, right? People are hammering New England, right? We can't legally show off, just so everyone on YouTube knows too. We can't legally show offshore books that advertise to U.S. customers. So Bet Online is BO, BD is Bodog, and then BV is Bovada. Scott gave a really good point, and Scott and I have worked really closely on how to kind of refine this like Sharp money handles tool. His go-to is 21 or higher difference, 49% lower bet percentage, and 60 or higher on money. Mine are a little bit more stringent, and I'll kind of go into that in a second. But then if we click on total, right, you can also see total. 77% of the money is on the over right now. NFL bettors love to bet overs. It's just a truth. So let's dive into a different game. Why don't we look here? Okay, so this is a let me find one that's like exactly where I want it to be. Not there. Look at Buffalo. Jesus. Major squares. Let's look at Cincy. Okay, this is a little bit closer to kind of what I like, right? So these are my. That's not like a great example. And these change, so that's why like I had one and then it changed on me. It was that game. Okay, this is great. This is perfect. We'll use this. Okay, Miami and the Colts. These are my percentages that I look for. Like I said, in the NBA, I used this exact method and I gained over 60 units on the year. That's not even counting my other plays. This is just this methodology. I gained 60 units on the year. Okay? These are my parameters when I use the Sharp App Money Handles tool. The first, the bet percentage must be under 40%. That shows me that the public is on the other side. We want to fade the squares, right? To me, when the bet percentage is under 40%, that to me tells me not necessarily that I'm doing a contrarian play, because that's not how I bet, right? But what it does tell me is that I'm not necessarily with the squares. Then we go over to the money percentage. My money percentage must be over 60% in order to make that bet. Okay? That tells me that we might not have what we call sharps in the Sharp report methodology, But what we do have is potential public sharp money, right? So we're seeing less than 40% of the public on a play, but more than 60% of the public on a play money wise, right? Money always talks. And so to me, this is an awesome difference. Now, I'm going to wait a little bit to make this play, right? I'm not saying go bet on the Colts here in this game, right? But this is pretty darn close to my parameters, right? And so it actually just updated. The screen just updated with our line movement. To me, this is very, very close. I look for under 40% bet percentage, over 60% money percentage. In the NBA, these are more common than any other sport that I've seen, especially when we look at spreads, right? And so when we're looking at a spread, right, it's important to understand that we want to be on the opposite of the squares, but we still want a large percentage of money on those plays, right? So I'm looking at that difference of over 20% with those two parameters in place. Now, like Scott said, and like others use, this play on the Colts still is pretty darn good, right? There's that less than 50%, right? So to me, that means that you are not siding with the rest of the public, right? The betting public is dumb, right? We know this. We've talked about this. But look at how much money we have on this play, right? Look at how much money is on the Colts. That's a good sign, right? Especially with the betting percentage so low, okay? One question that I get all the time is about the money line. And so these are just my personal parameters. I don't really play money lines past minus 130, 135, okay? As far as favorites go, right? So if a spread is up to like -3, that's a no-go for me on the money line. Now, there are some of you that bet totally different than that, right? Sometimes we've seen that sharps are on plays that are like -260, especially in like the MLB, right? That happens more often than you think, right? But to me, if a game is like this, right, that you see on the screen, -238, you got to keep in mind, I don't know many people that are betting on a game or on a money line that is -238. What's one thing that maybe someone would throw the Bengals into if they're betting on the money line? A parlay, right? It's being used as a leg on a parlay, right? Oh, there's my baby again. So when you're using the Sharp App Money Handles tool and you're looking specifically at the money line, and this is just personal, this is just the way that I use it, that's all that I'm talking about here, right? I kind of disregard anything that's on the money line, right? Look at that. There's 96% of plays that are on the money line on the Bengals. I would be willing to bet that most of those plays are factored into parlays, right? Most of that number is coming from people that are throwing that money into parlays, right? Question, where does the betting splits and money data come from? Yeah, so that's a great question. So we'll go over that one more time. It is an accumulation of a number of different books, right? So I know Anthony posted the list at some point over the past few days, but I believe it's the big ones like FanDuel, DraftKings, Circa, and it's all of those like betting handles combined, right? And so it combines all of those numbers in one place for you to be able to look at kind of where the entirety of the public is on, right? And so here, right, when we look at the spread and then we look at the money line, like this is a non-play, right? And I know that, like, I mean, I just don't know many people. Maybe you are this person and That's just not how I typically play. But I'm not betting on a minus 238 game. Um, Schwami, question for you. What's your game of the week here? What do we want to break down? Let's take a look. Let's give the people what they want. Yeah, yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's give it to the people. So, you see, right, the best odds here. Okay, this is coming from, and this is going to kind of, or we will integrate the customization and all of those books onto the app. That is coming, right? But right now, that's just on that Sharp 2.0, right? So right now you can get the best number at +2 for KC, and you can get the best number at -1. I listen. Come on, Patty Mahomes. You're doubting him? I know his receiving core is me and you. Juju looked good. I picked him up in fantasy. Yeah, he did look good. I mean, what we really need, and this, I'm not saying we. This is, I'm gonna go on a rant here. Once Xavier Worthy learns how to run a route, Casey's gonna be great. I mean, just great. Like once he learns to not run in a straight line, we're cooking with gas here for sure. Okay, let's take a look at AI predictions. Right? Oh, oh, right. So the predictive total or the predictive spread should be KC on the money line, right? No, that just means money line. That minus 0.5 essentially just means like a pick 'em, right? It should be a pick 'em. This is a closer game than maybe what the sports books are saying, right? I mean, the sports books are saying that it's going to be a close game, but Sharp AI and predictive AI is saying that really KC should be favored. It's not by much, right? So take that with a grain of salt, right? But it's at least something to look at, right? We can look at the line movement, right? Specifically from San Francisco over the past 12 hours, it's been kind of fluctuating between that, right? But if you look here over the past 24 hours, right, it dipped to -120, and then a bunch of people grabbed it, right? And so it went down toward -123. And something that I'll show you too that you can do too is, let's say that you, this is a consensus, right? What you're seeing, the lines that you're seeing on here is a consensus. So if you click on the little sharp button, you can pick what book you want to look at the line movement from, right? So if we see like FanDuel, right, this is where the line at FanDuel has been moving. It got all the way down to -112 at one point. This is for San Francisco, by the way, and then dipped all the way down to where it's at 126 right now. But I know what you guys want to see is probably the money handles, right? So let's take a look. Where is the money in this game? Now, you guys got to keep in mind too, it's Friday, right? Now, the sharpest of the sharps have already bet on this game, right? And those are what you're seeing on the sharp report. This is not necessarily all of the public, right? A majority of public posts bets on the day of, right? And so when I'm using the Sharp app money handles tool, I typically do or use it anywhere from 2 hours to an hour out of game time. So mine come out a little bit closer to game time. I know through DMs, I know that's how some of you guys use this tool as well, right? Because we want the most public money on this so that we can get the most informed bet, right? So let's take a look here. I mean, the money is where we would think the money is, right? And it's on Patty Mahomes there. 78% on the bet percentage, 80% on the money handles percentage, or on the money percentage for a difference of 2. That's nothing. But to me, this line is playable, right? Like if you were in favor of the Niners, because you know that the entire world right now is on KC, you can get that at 120 right, at MGM. So let's look at the money line. That tells a little bit different of a story. A little bit different of a story, right? 57% of all bets are on KC. So we're still seeing the public. I anticipate that might drop a little bit um, if lines get better in favor of San Francisco, right? But we got 57% betting percentage, 77% of that money on the money line for KC at plus money for a difference of 20%. Okay. And finally, we look at the total. No real changes there, right? No real significant data there. Now, I'm gonna tout it because we have to, right? If you want these tools at your fingertips on your phone for tomorrow's college football slate, the same tools are in college football, right? We can see the same money percentage. I'll move over. I'll move over to a game for tonight, right? Everyone's eyes might be on. Oh my God, Florida State Duke. Oh, shoot me. Oh my God, that's nasty. Um, BYU, OK State's a great matchup, but let's look at Purdue, right? Where's the money here? Okay. As you can see, all the same tools, right? Let me get this question real quick. Over on 80 or 80, 74% split. I would not touch. Yeah, I would not touch it right now. Right? As more money comes in, I would maybe look at that. Now, a strategy is if you find that percentage that you like, right? My personal is 40-60. But if you like that, if you find a percentage that you like and you can get it early on, go for it. In the NBA, sometimes that's my strategy, specifically with favorites, right? We all know that people love to bet favorites. People think that favorites are going to win every single time they go out, right? Now, in the NBA specifically, what I had done is I look at the money handles tool right when I wake up. It's one of the first things that I do, and I go through every game because it's a little more manageable in the NBA, right? I go through every game and I look at the money handles tool, right? And so when I'm looking at that, right, if there's a large percentage, a large gap in a spread on a favorite, I'm more likely to take that in the morning because that line is probably only going to go up, right? Unless there's sharp money on it, which, we can kind of accommodate for. And that doesn't happen too often, but that's a great question. So let's take a look here. Oregon tonight, the predictive spread is minus 27. What's the spread? Minus 29. Now, with a large spread like this, would I say there's value on Purdue? Maybe at like plus 31, right? But on a spread as large as this, I don't know. I will say, going into Purdue on a weeknight, freaky stuff might happen, right? Purdue is a crap team, but we saw how far they took Illinois last week, right? So let's go down to, see, this is a little juicier, right? If we're looking at the spread, 56% is on the dog. 62% is on for money, right? So would I make this play? No. But if you are like, listen, there's a dog that has a difference in the money handles, hammer it, right? If we look at money line, it's not even, you can't even, that's not even a thing, right? And obviously it does work for totals as well. But mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And Purdue is just a tough place to play. It really is. I know that they stink. They're trash this year. But how, if you've followed college football over the past few years, how many times has a top 25 team played against Purdue on a weeknight and gotten their crap pushed in, right? I'm not saying it's going to happen tonight. I'm not. But think about it, whether they cover or not, right? For sure. Um, Can you use the money handles for prop betting? No, we don't have the money. This is specifically just for straight bets, spreads, and for totals. Yep, yep, yeah, yeah. And look, like we see here, there's a potential difference on the over. Okay, why don't I click on the player props screen and oh look, you can literally look at all of the props right here, right? Let's say that you want to look at player passing yards. Ah, look at that, right? You can literally look at the odds right there, and then all you have to do is just like, and then you go into your sports book, right? Yeah. So Wired has just said, yeah, go for it, Schwami. Yeah, and that'll be based on internal user data, which is really, really handy. So we've got a couple minutes left. I'll tell you one more time. Remember, if you want these tools for tomorrow's slate, for Sunday's slate, for the rest of the MLB playoffs, for the start of the NBA, I can't freaking wait. I can't wait for the NBA season. I can't wait for the NBA season. If you want these tools, shoot myself a DM, shoot Schwami a DM, and we'll be able to help you out. But I'll stay on for a few more minutes if anyone else has questions. Otherwise, I will see you next week where we dive into Sharp 2.0 on the desktop. I'm so pumped about it. Let us know if you have any questions. I'll stay in chat for a little bit too, if anyone has any questions. Yes, thank you guys. Yeah, and obviously make sure to tune in, right? Where we do this every single Friday. Hang out with you guys and get the good word out there. Um, yep. Yeah. Always. Yeah. Otherwise, thank you guys so much. What was that, Schwam? Yep. Yes. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. We are absolutely here for you. Like I said, I'll stick around for a few more minutes and then thanks guys. Yeah, appreciate you, stud. Appreciate you. Does your app currently track when large releases are on lines or get released overs under spreads? Um, that does so. It tracks line movement, right? Maybe Wired Days has a better answer here for maybe when that's coming or if that's coming.